Day in the fight against the coronavirus, American healthcare workers on the front lines of the pandemic, they're going to begin getting vaccinated, and vaccines already here in the Alamo City.
And a woman just feet from a fire, thankful for a local combat veteran after he rescued her. We're hearing from that man this noon.
And the fronts keep coming. We've got a couple more this week. We'll tell you what that means for our forecast coming up.
Live from Ksat 12, the news at noon starts right now.
6,000 doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine have now arrived in San Antonio.
UT Health says nearly 6,000 doses of the vaccine were delivered today, and they're going to be administered beginning on Wednesday. The vaccines arrived at the UT Health campus in San Antonio this morning. Frontline healthcare workers, including doctors, nurses, and care team members, like we said, they're going to be receiving the first doses of the vaccine in just a couple days.
And thousands of the vaccine doses are also arriving at 3 other sites in Texas today, including Houston, Austin, and Dallas. And this is just the first phase of this major vaccine distribution. There will be several weeks of shipments.
More vaccines expect to arrive in Texas next week. Those shipments likely include doses from Pfizer and Moderna, whose vaccine is expected to get federal approval by the end of this week.
Yeah, and shipments of the Pfizer vaccine are making their way across the country as well. This as the U.S. nears 300,000 COVID-19 deaths, and hospitals coast to coast are feeling the strain of an influx of all those patients.
ABC's Rena Roy is in Queens, New York at the Long Island Jewish Medical Center, where doctors and nurses are already getting the shots.
Today, a pivotal moment in the fight against COVID-19. A critical care nurse at this hospital in Queens, New York, among some of the first in the country to get the Pfizer vaccine.
Well, I feel hopeful today, relieved.
Across New York, Northwell Health setting up 9 centers to begin vaccinating its 56,000 frontline workers as early as this afternoon. 2.9 million doses will be making their way to every corner of the country in ultra-cold freezers, on planes, and in trucks via FedEx and UPS. After the FDA authorized the vaccine for emergency use over the weekend, healthcare workers, seniors, and first responders will be given first priority.
We could have every nursing home patient vaccinated in the United States by Christmas.
145 locations are set to receive those vital vials today. In Chicago, Rush University Hospital transforming its lobby into mass vaccination bays. Allison Wines has been fighting the virus on the front lines for months at the University of Iowa Hospital and is set to receive her vaccine today, hoping this will be a true turning point 9 months into this pandemic.
I'm going to go treat some COVID patients and see a handful of them in the morning. Then I'll take a little break when it's my assigned time, get my COVID shot, and go right back to my COVID patients.
Research shows the vaccine is 95% effective. This crucial moment here, not a moment too soon. A record more than 108,000 Americans are currently hospitalized with COVID-19, and with months to go until most Americans can get vaccinated, authorities are urging people not to let their guard down.
Officials say one of the biggest challenges moving forward will be getting Americans to trust the vaccine. But an encouraging new ABC News Ipsos poll shows more than 80% of people say they do, in fact, want to get vaccinated. In Queens, New York, Rena Roy, ABC News.
And of course, we want to keep you informed during this pandemic. That's why we've been helping get you answers during a series of live streams right now on Ksat.com. You can look at some of the takeaways from our live stream about the coronavirus vaccine, including how the vaccine's supposed to work, what it'll cost, and when you can get it. You can find all that information right now on our homepage.
And in Bexar County, yet another rise in COVID-19 cases. According to Metro Health, 655 more people have tested positive for COVID. Yesterday, Metro Health officials also reporting no new deaths, but 51 backlog cases and 11 backlog deaths have been added to our totals. 705 people still in the hospital because of COVID, 234 people in the ICU, 129 on ventilators.
New at noon, a local combat veteran doesn't necessarily need a uniform or medals to be a hero. He proved it by saving a woman from a fire in a homeless camp on the far northwest side.
As Katrina Weber reports, he credits his military training for kicking in just in time.
Let's go see what this is.
From a bank drive-through last Thursday morning, Jason Harriman could see signs of smoky trouble in a field near Loop 1604 on Culebra Road.
I just looked and I saw the cart.
Curiosity drew him closer, showing him there was someone in the middle of it.
Kind of came around and checked it out, and And that's when I came around this side and I saw the woman standing here.
A woman only feet from a fire in full bloom.
She was, right at the edge there.
What appeared to be a homeless camp, for some reason, in flames.
I went in there because she wasn't moving, and I put my arm around her and tried to guide her out, and that's when I felt the burnt skin.
He says the woman had burns across half her back. Her shoeless feet also were burned and covered in stickers.
She said she couldn't move, so that's when I picked her up and put her on my shoulder and carried her out.
This Air Force combat veteran sprang into action, helping until paramedics arrived and took her to a hospital. Harriman says at one point other people did pitch in and help by trying to put out the fire. This is one of the fire extinguishers they left behind.
I said, kind of billowing out. Oddly, this tree wouldn't catch fire.
Today he made his first visit back, still wrapping his mind around what happened.
So I just happened to be here and God told me, hey, go check it out.
He also credits his military training for helping him to know how to help others. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank goodness he was there. Also new at noon, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office says a shooting investigation led them to 3 crime scenes overnight. Deputies were first called to the 1300 block of Huff Avenue just after midnight. Someone called to report a chase involving a shooting suspect. According to deputies, 2 drivers chased after that suspect. The deputies received a call about gunshots ringing out in a nearby area. As BCSO responded to that call, a deputy was approached by a person who had been shot. This was in the 1500 block of FM 1346. Right now, deputies are trying to figure out how all 3 calls are related and what led to the violent string of events.
And police say a crook hit up a store inside a mall, and weeks later, they're still trying to figure out who exactly is responsible. So take a look at your screen. Police trying to track down this person back on December 5th. Police tell us they believe the suspect went into the JCPenney at Ingram Park Mall, stole some merchandise. Now, investigators say he also assaulted an employee before running off. If you recognize this man, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number, 210-224-STOP. And a man recovering in the hospital today after police say he fell asleep in a dumpster and he was actually picked up by a garbage truck. All of this happening around 5:15 this morning after the truck made a pickup of the dumpster behind a KFC in the 8200 block of Bandera. That's the northwest side. Police tell us the driver of the truck pulled over when he heard someone screaming. He discovered that man trapped in the back. Crews were able to get the man out. Investigators say luckily he only suffered minor injuries.
We now know the name of the man who was found dead inside a car on the northeast side yesterday morning. We reported this on the news at 5:30 in the night beat. The Bexar County Medical Examiner has identified him as 27-year-old Bernard Terry. Officers say they found his car stopped in the middle of Judson Road near George Cooper Street around 3:30 in the morning. Police say Terry was dead inside the car, which was riddled with bullet holes. The medical examiner reported Terry had been shot in the head. Police are still investigating a motive and looking for the suspects.
Well, how about them Cowboys? A big win yesterday. Andy Dalton making his return to Cincy and left with a big W. We're going to give you the highlights.
And organizers of a holiday event are now also trying to help the San Antonio Food Bank, how you can help them reach their goal after the break.
Welcome back. If you're in the hunt for a job, big news, a virtual career fair happening tomorrow. SWBC looking to hire 15 people. The positions are for part-time payment reminder representatives. This virtual event will be held from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then again 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. tomorrow. During this career fair, participants will connect and chat one-on-one with SWBC recruiters. Follow-up interviews for other positions will take place via phone or video chat. If you can do it online. You just have to register. And then those who get hired will start 5 weeks of in-office training on January 11th of next year.
KSAT Community is highlighting a fun family activity. Illuminite is an event letting you enjoy beautiful holiday lights without leaving your car. And this week, organizers are also holding a food drive that benefits the San Antonio Food Bank. Starting today, anyone who brings 4 canned food goods to the Illuminite at the AT&T Center will get a free framed holiday photo of their group. Organizers hope to collect 500 pounds of food. The event costs $35.50, so if you do make a reservation online, that's the best way to do it. We have more information on ksat.com.
All right, taking a live look out at the Alamo City. So, Courtney, for me, my line of demarcation for cold is 50 degrees. It's 47.
Oh, yeah. No, it's freezing this morning. That's That's
cold.
way below my
I agree
mark.
with you guys. It's cold out there. It was a cold start. It was really windy last night. If your Frosty the Snowman inflatable wasn't anchored down, it might have been blowing down the street. We had some very gusty winds. Those winds have calmed down now. And as we look at the aquifer, no change, 661.3. And pollen count, mountain cedar did show up today, which I guess isn't a surprise because we had those winds yesterday. It's in the low category at 50. Let's talk about some small rain chances coming up.
All right, we are in the midst of Hanukkah and Christmas, just a couple weeks away. It feels like winter.
I know, it really did. Well, yesterday, so we had that fog. Then we finally cleared out into the sun, Justin. And that wind hit, and it was no joke. I mean, we were expecting it, but it was almost tipped us over.
It was strong, and it felt so cold at night with the wind and the gusty winds, and we had some wind chills this morning. The peak wind gusts were pretty impressive, guys. We had gusts up to 44 miles per hour here in San Antonio, 46 mile per hour wind gust at Bernie, 31 mile per hour wind gust at Pleasanton. Yeah, those winds were strong, so when you went to bed, they were howling. By this morning, though, most of those winds had died down, and we're seeing a much calmer day today. As we go outside for you, we're looking at clear skies. And take a look at this time lapse. You see the sun rising there. It was a beautiful start to the day. We've had just a few thin high clouds working through the sky. That's it. 47 right now. Still pretty chilly out there with east-southeasterly winds at about 5 miles per hour. We have had a little bit of a change in the wind direction. And I think we'll still get into the 50s today, but we're talking mid-50s at best. So it's still coat weather or jacket weather. 46 Bernie Stage, 50 Rio Medina, 51 Hondo, 47 right now in New Braunfels, and 53 Del Rio, 52 Carrizo Springs, 44 right now in LaGrange. And the dew points are still low, 20s and 30s here. Now, this is also going to change. You notice that east-southeasterly wind? That's going to start to bring in a little bit of moisture as we get into tomorrow morning, and that could mean some cloud cover. The dew point tracker shows we'll see a little bit of a rise here. Now, it's not a huge rise. We're going to get dew points into the 40s perhaps, but that may be just enough to get some clouds. Another front comes through, dips back down. See the dew points dip back down into the 20s and 30s. Then they come back up on Friday before going back down again. We have just a series of fronts coming through here, and that's basically taking a lot of the moisture with it. The moisture tries to return, and then the front just sweeps through and takes all of it, all that moisture with it. Visible satellite picture. We have had some clouds out across our eastern counties. Those are pretty quickly dissipating at this point. So clear skies here in San Antonio. A lot of sun today. And as we look at the big picture here, that last storm system that brought the windy conditions, it's already now along the East Coast producing snow and rain. There's some heavy snow and rain at this hour, stretching from New York down to the nation's capital. And then our next storm system is sitting out here over the Rocky Mountains. So this is what's going to increase our moisture again tonight as we get into tomorrow. There is some snow associated with this. Parts of Utah and Colorado seeing some snow in the higher elevations there. So here's what our forecast looks like. We'll get sunny skies this afternoon, but we'll fast forward now to 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Here comes the cloud cover, and I think we could even get a bit of patchy fog in some spots. And then by midday, the clouds begin to go away. We get a frontal boundary through here late in the day, and that ushers in some gustier winds, some drier air, so we're back where we were. Unfortunately, no rain out of this system, I don't think. It's not until Friday that we have just a small chance for a couple showers. Rest of today, temperatures up to 55, sunny skies, and then we'll see the numbers fall into the 40s tonight pretty quickly, I might add, down into the 30s by tomorrow morning. 37 to start, 63 though on your Tuesday. It turns breezy during the afternoon as that front comes through, and then we're back in the 50s on Wednesday. We should point out that Thursday morning, a freeze is likely, even here in San Antonio. 31, the expected morning low. We're back in the 60s on Friday with some added cloud cover and an outside chance of a shower. That would be mainly Friday night and Saturday morning. So if you have plans on Saturday, don't worry too much about this. There'll be a quick chance that we have, and we're back in the 60s over the weekend. But we continue to get fronts here now, just rapid fire, and it's keeping those temperatures in check for sure.
Really appreciate you highlighting the 31 degrees like we wouldn't have seen it.
I mean, I got to point it out. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Pipes, pets, and plants.
Yes.
See, I listen.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah.
All right. We saw the Spurs' first preseason game, and they're going to be back in action this week. We got to actually see the newest rookies take the court. What should we expect in the upcoming games? Plus, it's Monday. We're coming off Sunday. That means NFL football. 2 big games to talk about, one of which a big win. Shout out to Pollard. And then, not that great for the Texans. We're going to explain right after the break.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
All right, before we get to the Cowboys and Texans, we are talking about a big name change. First, it was the Washington football team, and now another professional sports team undergoing a big name change. Cleveland's baseball team announcing it is going to be dropping the Indians moniker. The team's new name will be unveiled later this week. Earlier this year, Cleveland officials say they will determine the best path going forward. And now it is time to talk about football. An exciting Sunday for NFL fans. Let's start with the Cowboys. After spending 9 seasons in Cincinnati as the Bengals starting quarterback, Andy Dalton returning to Cincy, but this time in a Dallas jersey. Let's start in the first quarter. The Cowboys defense stepping up. Aldon Smith picking it up. It was actually a Leighton Vander Esch fumble. Aldon Smith marching all the way to the end zone, and he would get 78 yards. Touchdown. Cowboys up 10-0 second quarter after another forced fumble on 4th down. Dalton finding Amari Cooper for an 11-yard touchdown, 17-0 Cowboys. Largest lead in the game right before half. Brandon Allen to A.J. Green, though, 5-yard touchdown pass, 17-7 Cowboys at halftime. Fourth quarter after the Bengals used up about 7 minutes and coming away with no points. Tyron Crawford, 2 sacks on the same drive. First sacks of the season, 4th and 1 for Dallas. Dalton hitting Tony Pollard. That's not Zeke for the record. 7-yard touchdown. Dalton wins in his big return to Cincinnati. Let's take a look at that final. Cowboys 30. Bengals, they're falling fast. Only 7. Dallas now 4-9 after the big win. Dalton let out his emotions in the locker room and celebrated the win in his former home stadium.
Yeah, I got water thrown on me and everything. Everybody was excited. So, I think Mike and just a lot of the guys, it made it a big deal. And so it feels good to come back to a place that I was for a long time to win. And like I said, it just felt good.
Sean Lee General was joking about how this is the house that Andy built, and just a blessing to get a win, especially for him.
It just adds to it. It's important that we finish this season out strong, and guys play well, and so that's just something we can build off of and keep continuing it every week.
The house that Andy built. And speaking about finishing the season off strong, they are still in the playoff hunt. They take on the 49ers this coming Sunday at noon at home at AT&T Stadium. All right, can't talk Cowboys without the Texans. Deshaun, JJ, and the crew heading to Chicago, taking on the Bears. First quarter, Texans' rush defense has been a problem all year. Here's another example. David Montgomery, first offensive play of the game, 80 yards to the house, 7-0 Bears. It didn't really get better after that. Second quarter, Mitch Trubisky, Jimmy Graham, 5-yard touchdown. Yes, the same Jimmy Graham from that Saints team. 14-0 Chicago. Texans on the board. Deshaun Watson, plenty of time. Kiki QT, who's like the 4th best receiver in the last year there. 5-yard touchdown. 14-7 Chicago. Texans backed up inside their own 10th, second week in a row. Deshaun Watson gets hit for a safety, and here they go again. Darnell Mooney, that would be 12 yards. Boom. The Bears just decimating the Texans defense. Deshaun not doing everything well today. He would finally get close, but he would lose it. Not a great showing for the Texans. They would go on to lose and lose big. That touchdown got called back. Not that big a deal. That was actually Houston's biggest deficit at the break this season. It never really got better. Let's take a look at the score. Texans losing 7-36. Houston now 4-9 on the season. And with this big loss, they are officially eliminated from the playoffs.
Our performance was embarrassing. I mean, that's just the facts of what it was.
Is there a bigger picture conversation to have about you playing and how much you should be out there taking hits?
No, I'm going to play. That's my job. I got to be out there every game. I'm not looking forward to throwing the books or, book a vacation right now. We got 3 more games. I got too much pride and respect for myself and this organization and this team to go out there and just get embarrassed again or lose. So my job is to go out there and play, to the fullest and try to get these W's.
playing for pride because they're not going to be playing for their pick. They actually traded that pick away for Laramie Tunsil, so they know first-round pick this year. All right. Next up, taking on the Colts Sunday noon at Lucas Oil Stadium. Time to talk Spurs. We got a little glimpse of the new rookies in this preseason. They played their first preseason this past week. They lost to OKC, but it's preseason, so the record doesn't even matter. Here it is what is up next. Silver and Black tomorrow, Houston, 7 p.m. And then Thursday, again, Houston, 7 p.m. And time to talk about football. A lot of exciting stuff going on. Shouts to Justin's Texas A&M.
We'll allow it.
There you go.
We'll allow it.
Oh, come on.
You can do it. You can
All
do
right. They're in the fight for the playoff. They are taking on Tennessee, or at least they're scheduled to this Saturday, 11 a.m. And big shout out to the hometown heroes, UTSA. Only the second time in 10 years they're going to be headed to a bowl game. And I'm so excited to say this one. They will be playing the bowl game. They're accepting the invitation to the Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl. Say that 10 times fast. Taking on SMU, the first game of the 2020 bowl season. So there you go.
I will say, I'm very excited for you, Justin.
Yeah. For Justin, for UTSA, Sincere McCormick has put the team on his back. They have looked so good.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
All
Good
right.
for Justin.
Time is 12:28. Clock is ticking for Americans looking to sign up for health care coverage under the federal government. Why you're going to want to enroll before tomorrow's deadline.
Plus, major concern after the U.S. Treasury and Commerce Department were hacked. Why some experts are calling it a highly sophisticated and targeted attack. That's next.
For the Electoral College meeting today to confirm President-elect Joe Biden as the 46th president of the United States. It's going to happen after electors from all 50 states and Washington, D.C. cast their ballots in a constitutional ritual that rarely draws attention, but this day takes on a special aura as President Donald Trump has yet to concede the election. President Trump actually has attempted numerous legal battles to have the election results reversed in his favor, but he's received rebukes, including some from the Supreme Court, which he has personally appointed 3 judges. Now, Biden will officially move into the White House on Inauguration Day, January 20th at noon.
Meanwhile, Peru has temporarily suspended clinical trials of China's Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine after a patient reported lower muscle strength in his legs. The 64-year-old patient has allegedly suffered from badly controlled diabetes for more than 20 years. The head of clinical trials there in Peru told CNN the reason for the symptoms cannot yet be determined. The patient is in stable condition, but the investigation is ongoing.
And the clock is ticking for Americans looking to sign up for health care coverage under the federal government. Open enrollment in 36 states for healthcare.gov ends tomorrow. This enrollment takes place as the Supreme Court is considering the fate of the health reform law. Now, the Trump administration and a group of Republican state attorneys are attempting to invalidate the Affordable Care Act. They say the individual mandate is unconstitutional after Congress trimmed the penalty for not having health care to nothing. Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh both said the law doesn't have to be thrown out entirely, even if a provision is found to be unconstitutional.
It's one of the nation's top stories today. Big concern after a large-scale hack of the U.S. Treasury and Commerce Departments. U.S. officials believe Russian government hackers were behind the attack. As ABC's Alex Perchet reports, hackers broke into the networks of the Treasury and Commerce Departments as part of a global cyber espionage campaign.
It's being called a highly sophisticated and targeted attack that could have broad implications for the country's national security. U.S. officials telling ABC News that the Treasury and Commerce Departments were victims of a cyber breach, and they believe Russia is behind it. The Commerce Department saying in a statement, "We can confirm there has been a breach in one of our bureaus. We have asked the CISA and the FBI to investigate." Authorities believe that Russian government hackers breached computer software used by those departments, made by a company called SolarWinds, and were able to secretly look at communications of U.S. government officials for months.
This potentially is really a big deal.
But the damage could be even more widespread than that. SolarWinds software is used across the federal government, including in the Pentagon and the White House, and is used by most of the Fortune 500 companies. SolarWinds now says it's working with the FBI and law enforcement to get to the bottom of the breach. Its president issuing a statement saying the vulnerability is currently believed to be related to updates which were released between March and June of 2020. The Kremlin has denied Russia is behind the hacking, a spokesperson saying flatly, "We have nothing to do with this."
They're trying to steal 2 things: information, which they could clearly gather through emails, And they're also stealing cyber technology. In other words, ways we go at them and they go at us.
In response to the hack, the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency issuing an emergency directive calling on all federal civilian agencies to review their networks for indicators of compromise and disconnect or power down. And our cyber experts tell us the last time we've seen a hack of this scale, President Obama was in office. It was 5 or 6 years ago. Alex Perche, ABC News, Washington.
Well, Justin, with all that wind yesterday, the live cam is calm now, but that pollen count I expected to be way higher even.
Well, I think that's sort of the surprise, and it looks like we're getting a late start to mountain cedar season, so I suppose that's some good news. We think that it may start to jump up as we get later into December. They're just not pollinating yet, but mountain cedar is there today, and it's up from where it was yesterday, so we should caution you there. It's at 50. Mold is at 490. And low. Looking at temperatures, 47 at the airport, 47 Randolph, 49 Port SA. It's still pretty chilly out there. 51 Comfort, 52 in Bandera, and still a little bit of a wind chill in spots. If you're hoping for some rain, we do have a little bit in the forecast, not a great chance, but as we get into Friday and mainly Saturday morning, there's some small chances here where we could get a few showers in place. Otherwise, it's a dry forecast. And the forecast for today calls for clear skies. 54 by 2 o'clock. We'll be up around 55 by 4 o'clock with the northerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Guys.
Thank you, Justin. Well, as the number of COVID-19 cases keeps climbing, so does the toll it's taking on frontline healthcare workers. As CNN's Mandy Gaither explains, some four-legged friends are stepping in to help.
It's a task that takes a big toll.
This is a tough time to be a healthcare provider.
For months across the U.S., those at the front of this pandemic have worked tirelessly to take care of those who are the sickest, many times to the detriment of their mental, physical, and emotional health.
Really trying to help bring a little light into their world.
That's why Mary Justice co-founded Buckeye Paws, a program launched at the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center in March that brings certified therapy dogs to some of those who need comfort the most.
The staff will start to smile and you'll hear them whisper, "The dogs are here." And they will laugh and they will clap their hands, and they literally come kind of almost running down the hall when they see the dogs. You feel the mood shift when you get onto the unit.
Justice says there are more than 20,000 employees at the medical center. Visits from these furry friends can be requested. They go around 5 days a week.
For as much as they're doing, they're thanking us for coming up there to help them, which I find amazing.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
So sweet to see those dogs helping. Switching gears to the holidays, many may still be on the hunt for holiday gifts, but time is running out if you want them delivered on time. What deadline the Postal Service says you should give yourself for your ground shipping orders?
And Oracle, tech company, packing up and moving to Texas. Why the company is moving to Austin next in your Daily Cheddar.
Hello everyone, this is your daily tech and business briefing from Cheddar. Oracle is packing up and moving to Texas. The software giant relocating their headquarters from Redwood City, California to Austin, Texas. That in order to accommodate their flexible employee work location policy. Now Oracle, just the latest tech company to flee Silicon Valley, all amid the pandemic. They're joining company Hewlett-Packard as well. Meanwhile, Virgin Galactic's historic manned test flight was aborted on Saturday. This after the rocket failed to launch. Virgin Galactic's VSS Unity shot up more than 40,000 feet above New Mexico when it suddenly came right back down. The company says the ignition sequence didn't complete, but the rocket was able to return safely to Earth. And a SiriusXM satellite is now in space thanks to SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket. SpaceX launching the satellite from Cape Canaveral on Sunday. After the blastoff, the rocket's reusable first-stage booster successfully detached and returned to its drone ship in the ocean. NASA says the rocket has flown 25 times this year, and SpaceX says the booster has been recovered 7 times. And that's your Cheddar Business and Tech Update. I'm Baker Machado, coming to you from Cheddar Studios in Lower Manhattan.
Continuing with your consumer news, the U.S. Postal Service urging Americans to place their orders as soon as possible if you want gifts to arrive on time for the holidays. The Postal Service is flooded with packages and short on employees to process them. It says to place your ground orders by tomorrow if you're sending gifts with UPS, FedEx, or the U.S. Postal Service. Several retailers, including JCPenney, Lowe's, Kohl's, and Bath & Body Works, are advising customers to shop soon to avoid expedited shipping fees.
And a Chinese probe is one step closer to coming home after collecting rocks and soil samples from the moon. The probe left the lunar orbit just yesterday. They're going to be making their final journey to Earth soon. China will become the third country in the world to retrieve scientific samples from the moon if the mission ends successfully.
Russia successfully launched a rocket this morning. It was the second launch of the next generation Angara rocket since 2014. More launches are scheduled for next summer by Russia's aerospace forces. The rocket launched was a mass simulator modeling the weight and shape of a spacecraft.
All right, so we all know 2020 has been a busy year, full of changes, and the weather is no different. It's even been a big roller coaster.
Justin Horn's taking a look back at some of the major weather events that hit our area.
It's time to take a look back at the biggest weather events of 2020 here in San Antonio. Where do we start? There were plenty of storylines, but one that really seemed to catch people's imaginations was a faraway visitor. Traveling thousands of miles, Saharan Dust starts off the countdown at number 5. It hit South Texas hard this year. In fact, on June 27th, we saw a peak day of dust where visibility was reduced. Many people opted to stay in sight to avoid the potential headaches and health hazards that can come along with this dust. At number 4, we rewind to the last week of May. This week was a busy one. It started with a tornado touchdown on May 24th on the west side of San Antonio that did a significant amount of damage. The Wild Horse subdivision was hardest hit. Then just 3 days later, a powerful supercell dumped large hail on the city's north side, bringing back memories of April 2017. Damage to roofs and cars were common with this storm. Next on the list was a situation that affected everyone. We saw several stretches this summer without rain and witnessed blistering heat. Stage 1 water restrictions were put in place after the aquifer saw a rapid decline. September brought us a bit of a reprieve, but dry conditions quickly returned in October and will likely finish the year well below normal with regards to rainfall. At number 2, it feels odd that a pandemic would mix with weather, but there is a connection there that cannot be overlooked. And it was a hot topic at points during the pandemic. There was hope that hot weather might keep COVID-19 at bay, but cases ramped up again in July. And while weather may play a small role in how COVID spreads, hot, dry weather did not seem to have the desired effects we had hoped for. And it now appears a cold winter is also factoring into the situation. Lastly, at number 1, and I think this comes as no surprise to anyone, 2020 shattered records for tropical weather. A record number of named storms and a record number of landfalling storms, 3 of which had some impacts on Texas. Hanna and Beta made direct hits on the Texas coast, while a dangerous Laura narrowly missed East Texas. Still, it left behind quite a bit of destruction, especially in Louisiana. Having firsthand experience of this tropical season, I can tell you it was one for the record books. Right up the Sabine River. Oh. And those are our top 5 weather events for 2020. Justin Horn, Ksat 12 News.
And speaking of Justin Horn, Ksat 12 News, Justin, you want to explain what happened in that video?
Oh, man, we're going back to that, are we?
We just saw it. Might as well talk about it.
Yeah, you know what? It was a transformer way behind me. It was loud. It was bright, though. It looked a little more dangerous than it was.
You were safe. It looked closer than it was. Yes.
That was an ordeal. Yeah, it was. I did jump a little bit.
We don't blame you.
What a season. 47 degrees so far today. That's the high temperature. 36 was the low this morning. The average is 64, so we're going to be well below average today. Records are 85 and 22, set back in 1908 and 1966. We'll talk about a quiet but cool forecast coming up.
Have we got deals for you? Ksat Deals is here to save you money right now. Welcome to Ksat Deals at ksatdeals.com. We have a long list of bargains for you, but we only have time for 2 today, one for the bedroom and one for the gadget savvy shopper. Let's start in the bedroom. The Bamboo Comfort 6-piece luxury sheet set is very breathable. The microfiber and bamboo help to reduce allergens. Now the retail price $109, but the Ksat Deals price $32.99. That's a 70% discount. Moving on to the smartwatch. This tracks everything from calories burned to your sleeping and blood oxygen levels. It works both with iOS and Android. Now the retail price $199. Ksat Deal $44.99. That's a 77% discount. Now you can get these two along with several others only on ksatdeals.com.
Welcome back. It was chilly and windy last night, but the Geminid meteor showers did peak overnight. We got this great picture in from Kevin Van Winkle. This was out of Shirts. Now, I think this was taken a couple days earlier, but very cool. Some of the meteor showers there. It's amongst the star trails. I always love these kind of pictures, but it's a very cool shot. And if you have any other pictures or anyone else out there has some pictures of the Geminid meteor showers, if you're able to catch it, send them in. We'd love to see them on our KSAT Connect. Thank you, Kevin, for that picture. We'll look at the temperature extremes in the last 24 hours. Yesterday, Falcon Lake got up to 89 degrees, okay? And then in New Mexico this morning, Angel Fire, New Mexico got down to negative 19. That was a difference of 108 degrees from the low to high. Pretty impressive, and they're not that far apart considering we're talking Texas and New Mexico here. Pretty impressive. Morning low temperatures for us, obviously not in the negative teens, but we will see some chilly weather, 30s next few days, and I think Thursday morning we'll be down to freezing, if not a little bit below here in San Antonio. So widespread freeze. Overnight lows do jump up a little bit as we get into the weekend, as we get a little more moisture in place. Outside right now, 47 degrees at the airport. East-southeasterly winds at about 5 miles per hour. We've had a couple few thin high clouds, but that is about it. Not seeing much here in San Antonio. Now, we have seen some clouds off to the east, and those continue to really break apart and go away. 50 degrees Bernie Stage, 47 New Braunfels, 44 in Seguin, 53 right now in Pleasanton, 51 Uvalde, 48 Gonzales. And you see some of those clouds that were around Victoria, LaGrange, and Austin. Those are finally going away, and we're seeing some sunny skies for most everybody. A lot of dry air out there, 2 points in the 20s and 30s. There's going to be a little bit of a change here over the next, I'd say, 12 to 24 hours. We'll see dew points jump up some. Still not overly humid, but seeing dew points jump into the low 40s. And there could be some cloud cover, maybe a little bit of fog tomorrow morning. Here's the big picture, and you see the clouds there along the coast. And it looks like we still have some snow on the ground up there across parts of the Texas Panhandle and Oklahoma. You can see some of the clouds moving, but underneath that, that is snow that you're looking at on the visible satellite picture, which is always cool to see. As we zoom out more, there is the last storm system, which is moving off the coast at this hour, and then some unsettled weather there across the Rockies. A little closer look at some of the snow going on across New York, some very heavy rain around Philly, Washington, D.C., down towards Raleigh this afternoon, and then some unsettled weather across the Rocky Mountains. This is the next system that will be moving in. Not going to give us rain, but it will increase the clouds as we get into tomorrow morning. Cloudy to start. I think by midday, a lot of the clouds are moving out. We're back in the sun, back in the dry air tomorrow afternoon. So our forecast for today, up into the mid-50s for highs and then dropping off very quickly tonight, 40s and eventually 30s by tomorrow morning. We'll start off at 37, 63 on your Tuesday, breezy by tomorrow afternoon. And then 58 Wednesday. We mentioned the freezing temperatures there Thursday morning, then up to 62. Friday, moisture comes back. We get some more cloud cover. There could be a shower or two Friday night, Saturday morning, although we're not too optimistic about any significant rain. It's been a very dry year. That trend continues right on into December, guys.
It'd be so nice if we could get some rain out of it, but at least people who love the winter are getting some wintry temperatures.
That's true.
It's about time.
30s. It is what it is. All right, after the break, a look at the weekend box office. We'll be right back.